Hey yo, we're back with our next episode of our Sryth Fantasy Text-Based RPG. So last time we were doing the Proving Grounds. It's not the next day yet, so we can go right back to that. We're gonna have to upgrade our castle right now. Yeah, but it's a Shadow over Stonegate. We were finding out a little bit that the their sorcerer, their town sorcerer, is not doing what he said he was going to do, so he's a little suspect right now. And since it's really a magic related and a Shadowgate related problem they're having, he is pretty much on the prime suspect. Garrwin said he wasn't good enough to do it on his own, so we'll see about that, right? So we'll see who's really behind it, but he probably summoned them or brought them in, and his name was Nilam. So the next part we're on is Nilam. So thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Let's go. Hopefully I'm going to try to talk slower and enunciate more, work on that sort of thing while I'm in the beginning stages of my YouTube channel, right? Alright, let's go. The Watchtower. Under the cover of the forest, you cautiously approach Nilam's residence on the western edge of Stonegate. The old watchtower sits in the crown of the wooded hill overlooking the town and broad section of the road leading west. You sit beneath the trees at the base of the hill, carefully observe the gaunt and cheerless grey stone tower. Your vigilance is rewarded when you spot two armored guardsmen taking up position in the front of the tower's main doors. The guards seem to be closely watching the stony path that winds its way up the hill to the tower. Let's try another way. On the backside of the tower, you're surprised to find a walled courtyard extending to the edge of the hill. A high wall surrounds the enclosed garden, and you begin to think that the courtyard might offer your best chance of entering the structure unseen. As stealthily as you can, you begin your attempt at climbing the high wall. Yeah, because I have thievery. I'm good at climbing walls. You reach the top of the wall with ease and peer into the courtyard below. At the far end of the walled garden is the door that leads into the tower. Slumped up against the wall next to it is a portly guard, his head comically slumped onto his shoulders. He is, without much doubt, sound asleep. You drop down quietly into the courtyard and move stealthily toward the door. As you approach the sleeping guard, he begins to stir. Incapacitate, because maybe he's coerced into being in cahoots, so I don't want to kill him. A single well-placed blow renders the guard unconscious. You step past his unmoving form and stride up to the door. The door is not locked. You gently open it and slide into the watchtower. Nilam's residence is much larger than it appears from the outside. It's a TARDIS. You spend several minutes slinking through the passages and levels of the old watchtower until at last on the third floor you hear voices coming from behind the door off to the right of the central hall. You press your ear up to the sturdy timber of the door and listen intently to what sounds like two men arguing with each other. As you listen, however, something strikes you as strange regarding the voices, and then it hits you. The two voices are one and the same. You listen with a renewed interest as the lone voice behind the door changes in pitch and tone, creating the eerie, audible illusion of two people conversing. The first voice is that of an elderly man, while the second is barely above a harsh whisper. "You don't own me," cries the voice of the old man. "I am nameless," hisses the second voice, the hauntingly familiar words sending an involuntary shudder through your body. "You leave me alone. Begone, demon," shouts the angry voice of the old man. "Begone." "I am nameless," hisses the voice again. "Only on the wings of death shall I depart." "Then depart you shall," thunders the old man's voice. An anguished pain-laced cry is accompanied by the sound of something shattering on the floor. Ready to confront the unexpected, you throw open the door and step into the chamber beyond. Sprawled out on the floor just inside the door is the blue-robed body of an old man. The man's face is twisted into a frozen, agonized expression, but you instantly recognize him as the one who you encountered at the second shadow path. There's no doubt that this is Nilam. The shattered remnants of the vial lie scattered near his head, and a pungent, dark-colored liquid seeps from the corner of Nilam's mouth. The odor of liquid is unmistakable. It is Wrath's blood, a deadly toxin whose potency knows few equals. Suddenly, Nilam's eyes fly open and he glares at you contemptuously. "I am nameless," he hisses softly. "See? Nilam is coerced. He didn't want to do it. He tried to kill himself so he could kill this demon, but it didn't work." You steel yourself for the possibility of an imminent attack, but as swiftly as his eyes open, they close, and his face is once again frozen in the final agonizing moments of his life. A full piece of parchment protrudes from one of the pockets in Nilam's robe. The parchment is a note addressed to Garwin, and you read it carefully. Dear Garwin, I ascribe to this paper what will likely be my last words among the living. You must know, above all else, that I have not willingly betrayed you or the people of Stonegate. The demon whose undead army stalks the land is within me. I find myself powerless to repel him. The possession shall prove my undoing. I pray this message reaches you in time. In the lowest level of the tower, and it is the shadow path the demon uses to pass between our world and its nightmarish realm. I have seen what lies beyond that portal, for I have been carried there on my own legs, through very much against my will. I beseech you, the portal must be closed at all costs. It suffices to say that what gathers on the far side of the shadow path is an army against which no mortal force can hope to stand. The time of invasion draw near. There is the precise, well-formed script, and is abruptly replaced by jagged, irregular text. It's plain that the new hand has composed the remainder of the note. I was still able to send words to Lena's. Expect help soon. Sudden movement on the floor at your feet draws your gaze downward, and the floor at your feet, Nilam's body begins to twitch and convulse. Leap backward, assuming a defensive stance as the major's lifeless corpse shudders and slowly rises onto its feet. Nilam, his eyes rolled back into the back of his head, grins wickedly as he levels his outstretched hand at you. I am nameless, he hisses. Nilam thrusts his hands at you and launches a powerful telekinetic attack. Fortification never fails me. You hastily summon magical barrier buckles, but holds on the face of Nilam's powerful telekinetic blast. You spell the barrier and leap forward to attack him. The freshly risen undead mage snarls viciously as you launch your attack. Sorry, bub. You're already dead, though. The undead corpse of Nilam slumps to the floor at your feet and does not move again. A shiver runs the length of your spine as a cool breath of air rushes past you and out of the chamber. You carefully fold his arms across his chest and mutter a quick prayer. May the All-Father watch over him. While standing over the body of the fallen mage, you silently vow that you will deliver the note that bears his final words to Garwin. Realizing there's no time to delay, you exit the chamber and promptly descend to the tower's ground level. In the middle of the cluttered study at the east side of the structure, you find a stone hatch, the center of which fitted with a brass ring. Taking hold of the ring, you lift the weighty stone slab and slide it to the side, revealing a narrow set of stairs spiraling down into darkness. You check over your equipment and take a last look at your surroundings before taking your reliable light source in hand and beginning the cautious descent. So you're going to go down before we go talk to Garwin. Gotcha. So that's what's on the agenda next. We're going down and to close the gate as soon as possible. The final descent sounds rather final. Oh, it's very small. You're standing at the base of a steep set of spiral steps that lead up to the ground floor of the watchtower. To the south, the corridor plunges into darkness. You think it might be safe to rest here. I don't need to rest. Let's go south and east and south and east and 11 skeletons. The clattering bones echoes loudly off the walls of the corridor as a large band of skeletons loom into view. The vile group of fleshless undead hiss wildly as they draw rusty blades and attack. You leave a large pile of shattered bones in your wake as you once again set off along the passage. South. Beneath the watchtower, you serve the abode of the Stonegate's resident Major Nilam. You move cautiously through the dark corridor, seeking any sign of the shadow path. I mean, if we close it before the guy goes back in there, is he going to be stuck here? A clattering bows echoes all loudly off the walls, saying, "Alright. Set off again. Let's go, let's go. 11 more skeletons. Got 'em. And, we're at the shadow path. The moment you step into the small chamber at the end of the passage, your eyes are drawn to the swirling black vortex hovering against the west wall of shadow path. A low pulsing sound issues from the heart of the Nivernal gate. Instinctively, you step toward the portal, determined to effect its closing and deny this point of entry to the undead invasion that threats not only Stonegate, but the entire realm. Suddenly, something begins to emerge from the swirling vortex. You assume a combat-ready stance, prepared to do battle with the undead menace now stepping out of the portal. I stoutly battle a ghoul lord, who's now dead. And then, suddenly, 10 skeletons emerge, and we fight. We fight. 10 more skeletons, and we fight. By ghouls, and we fight. 2 lesser deathless ghouls. and the ghoul Lord. Lord always comes last, don't he? Oh, no. 8 more ghouls. Never mind about him coming last. I'm gonna use gating because Shadowstone didn't work last time, and gating did. The heart of the shadow path ripples and sweat pours down your brows. You struggle to close the vortex with your potent summoned power. A flash of blue light momentarily fills the chamber. The heart of the shadow path begins to swell with renewed fervor. Suddenly, without a sound, the vortex closes. The low pulsing sound fades to a whisper and is gone. The shadow path is no more. You feel with an inexplicable sense of dread in the wake of the closing of the shadow path. Sound from behind you startles you, and you turn to find the familiar figure of the lurker emerging from the shadowy corner of the chamber. The demon is gone, she says, but victory is not yet at hand. The lurker continues to speak, telling you that the nameless demon passed back through the portal prior to its closing and is now again trapped in the shadowy, nirvana realm it calls home. You must hurry, for many of the dead that have already invaded yet remain, and as they speak they gather the last assault upon the people of Stonegate. They cannot face this final fight alone, Allison. You must make haste. The sense of dread that fills you intensified as the lurker steps back into the shadow and disappears from view. Without delay, you exit the chamber and make your way to the lower level of the watchtower. Once outside, you set off to the north, plunging into the thick woods that surround Stonegate. Your every hastened step driven by the overpowering desire to reach the forest encampment ahead of the impending undead attack. You pray that you are not already too late. I pray that too. The return. I think we might make it to the end of this episode. The sound of the raging battle reaches your ears as you press northward through the forest, hell-bent on reaching the fortified encampment that you pray still protects the evacuated citizens of Stonegate. As the outer defences of the camp loom into view through the forests ahead, you find yourself confronted by a grisly band of rotting cadavers. The putrid undead beings moan loudly as their festering corpse floats towards you through the trees. In a matter of moments, you're completely surrounded and fighting for your life. Dead. The last of the ghouls topple to the ground and you turn and start in the direction of the encampment, only to find your path blocked by another undead menace. A large group of skeletons, each wielding a rusty scimitar, moves in from your right, hissing wildly as they approach. The band of bone warriors quickly surround you. Get them. Leap over the pile of bones at your feet and dash in the direction of the encampment. As you near the first line of wooden pikes that make up the camp's outer defences, you come upon 3 men pitching a desperate fight against a towering skeletal troll. The great undead beast turns to face you as you close in, sounding an enraged bellow that echoes off the surrounding trees. You leap between the men and the undead troll, determined to see an end put to the fleshless menace. All around you, the forest surrounding the encampment, a fierce battle rages between the largely ill-equipped and untrained citizens of Stonegate and a vast horde of vicious undead. There's no time to lose. You rush toward the outer defense of the fortified camp, throwing yourself headlong into a brutal fight, which defeat is not an option. Defeat is not an option. Oh my gosh. Okay, I was wrong. I'm not going to finish this episode. The last battle is a liar. There's a lot of last battles. Okay. Great Crusader. The caped skeleton striding out the forest towards you hisses viciously as it approaches. The blade of the long dead knight broadsword is stained with blood of more than a dozen of Stonegate's brave citizens who found themselves unlucky enough to be caught in the path of destruction. Now he's savagely dead. You turn your eyes from the remains of your foes to the battle that still rages in the forest around you. With a grim determination, you set off to seek out and engage the enemy. Yep. Okay, let's keep going. Thundering blow. A thunderous bellow rattles your teeth as the thick-boned skeleton of a hulking troll strides into the view. The ferocious undead beast snarls as it starts in your direction, its claws hand poised to strike. And now he's dead. You turn your eyes to the remains of your foe, to the battle that still rages in the forest around you. With grim determination, you set off to seek out and engage the enemy. Gotta keep going. Head this rider. The unsettling clank of heavy metal plates precedes the arrival of an armored skeletal warhorse, atop which is seated a headless rider. Does he have a pumpkin, though? The skeletal horse snorts loudly and stamps his feet as its rider dismounts and strides towards you. His hands outstretched with thin tines of lightning entwining entwine the tips of his fingers. Suddenly your headless foe draws back his right arm and suddenly thrusts it out at you, releasing a bolt of lightning that surges toward your chest. Fortification. A bolt of lightning slams into your hastily summoned magical barrier, leaving you shaken but otherwise unharmed. Dispel the barrier and rush forward to attack the headless warrior. Yeah, we do. You turn your eyes to the remains of your foe from the remains of your foe to the battle that still rages in the forest around you. With grim determination, you set off to seek out and engage the enemy. Seek and engage the withering touch. Staring over the trunk of a fallen tree is one of the most hideous creatures you've ever laid eyes upon. The staggering, rotting corpse that ambles in your direction reeks of decay as it draws within melee range to wretches violently, spewing a writhing torrent of slime-covered insects that onto the ground at your feet. Ugh! You overcome your horror, move forward to attack the undead abomination. Avoid the bugs. Now you give this. The witherer slumps to the ground at your feet. As you step back from the festering corpse, you are dismayed to see two more of the foul undead beings staggering in your direction. How dare they? Split belt. You define the square off against the last of the three witherers. Nah. You turn your eyes from the remains of the foes of the battle that rages. With grim determination, you set out to seek and engage the enemy. Yes, we've read that part multiple times now. The calls for fear. Vorenthal. As you move through the forest east of the camp, you suddenly filled with a deep sense of dread. You turn to find yourself facing a Vorenthal. The powerful undead creature strides silently towards you, seeking to end your existence among the living. Oh, now he's dead. Deep sense of dread passes in wake of your victory over the Vorenthal. You turn your eyes from the remains of your foes to the battle that still rages in forest around you. With a grim determination, you set off to seek out and engage the enemy. Yeah, we do. The Bone Warriors, my butt muscles are flexing or something. They're going off. They're like. In the midst of the chaotic battle raging through the forest, you suddenly find yourself surrounded by a large group of armored skeletons. The hissing horde of bone warriors close in around you. The rusty blade of the skeletal flows slice through the air in all directions. Another group of skeletal warriors passes forward, replacing those that have come to rest in the pile of shattered bones about your feet. You wipe the sweat and grime off the battle from your brows. You engage a group of skeletal warriors, including this one. It looks as if there are 6 large groups remaining. What? Hey, another group. But we did got rejuvenation. Another group. Wait, oh wow. We'll talk about an army. Another group. 3 more. 2 more. Uno más. Hordes of skeletons at last vanquished. The last skeleton collapses to the ground at your feet, its ribs and skull shattered in the ferocity of your attack. Turn your eyes from the remains of your foes to the battle. It still rages on. That was the hardest one so far. To the rescue! You move through the forest seeking any place that your skills might avail the beleaguered citizens of Stonegate as they struggle to repel the undead from the border of that camp. Desperate cries for help suddenly ring out to the east. You turn and dash off in that direction. As you pass over the back of the small rise, your eyes fall upon the sorcery cries and the reason for them. 15 yards where you stand, a hideous rustling corpse staggers toward a group of cowering humans. A grey-haired man, his hands tightly gripping a wisdom's axe, stayed bravely at the fore of the group, his eyes wide in terror as a gruesome undead creature approaches. The 2 men and 3 women behind him are huddled close together and seem to be too terrified to move. You rush forward, stepping between the advancing undead and its intended prey, and assuming a defensive stance. You sharply order the grey-haired man and the others flee to the camp. The sound of retreating footsteps of the forest floor behind you signals that your order has been followed. Now focus your attention on the terrifying undead specimen stalking towards you. Greater Witherer. He throws at bugs. The Witherer gasps loudly as it slumps to the ground and expires. You turn your eyes to the remains of your foes to the battle that still rages in the forest around you. With grim determination, you set off and seek out and engage the enemy. From above. Well, I said this would be a longer episode, so we can finish this episode. And if it's still less than 30 minutes, we'll keep going. The sound overhead caused you to look up, and not a moment too soon, descending through the canopy of leaves is a large group of winged skeletons. They're just people-looking skeletons with wings, or they're animals that had wings. The group of 8 winged skeletons land all around you, hissing loudly as they fold their bone wings into their backs and draw their rusted blade. You turn to your left and then to your right, but there's no breach to be found in the line of winged skeleton warriors that now surround you. Determined to give these vicious undead a taste of terror they are accustomed to wielding, you step forward to boldly engage the foremost of their encroaching ranks. Attack! Your victory buys you only a second's reprieve. Before you are even able to catch your breath, 3 more of the winged skeletons set upon you, mercilessly hacking at you with their ancient swords. 3 more of the winged skeletons rush forward and attack. Wearily you turn and prepare to engage the last. You take a few moments to catch your breath following the brutal fight, but there is little time for delay. You turn your eyes for the remains of your foes to the battle that still rages in the forest around you. From the remains. Next engagement, it says. Next engagement. A parade of ghouls. 76 ghouls in the big parade. A line of 6 staggering corpses move up on you from your right. You turn to face the advancing menace, almost unwelcoming the opportunity to rid the world of these undead abominations. Moaning loudly, the half-dead corpses lurch forward and attack. As the last ghoul topples over, a sound in your left immediately snaps your head in that direction. A trio of rotting corpses stagger towards you, their ghastly moans sending a shiver the length of your spine. Greater ghouls. 2 more. And 1 more. You step back for the remains of the slain ghouls and are about to set off when the ghastly wailer ups to your left. A hideous ghoul staggers towards you, its clawed hands outreached in the rotting remains of its upper body riddled with festering sores. Gross. This ghoul with the flesh of vermin. Long paraded ghouls seem to temporarily be an end. You spend the next few moments catching your breath and plotting your next course of action. Yes, engage the enemy. Says the same thing, so we're not going to read it. Death swings a sword. At the southern edge of camp, you come to aid of a man who's been knocked down while attempting to find an armored skeleton. You rush into the melee coming between the man and his enemy, and he wisely uses the opportunity to retreat into the camp. The skeleton, a suit of tattered soft leather armor still clinging to his bones, hisses viciously and swipes at you with its long sword rusted. Something in the way this fleshless undead wields its weapon tells you that his life was being no stranger to swordplay. So he's very good with the sword. A pile of shattered bones at your feet is all that remains of your skeletal foe. You turn your eyes to the battle that still rages in the forest around you. Your determination set off to seek out and engage the enemy. Gruesome scene interrupted. In the forest on the eastern edge of the camp, you happen upon a gruesome scene. 2 black bone skeletons are stooped over the battered, lifeless corpse of 3 humans. Yeah, I'm mad. Anger wells up within you as the foul undead creatures rises up and begin hacking at the dead humans with their swords. You rush to the skeletons, eager to put an end to their brutal act of desecration. You step over the remains of the slain skeletons and discover they were not alone. Stepping on the brush to your left is a large group of black bone skeletons. These vicious undead beings search forward to swarm you, slicing you with ancient decaying blades. 1 more? 7 more. Yep, no, flight is not an option. The Black Bone Avenger. He's mad I killed everyone. The black bone skeletons are no more. Let's read about them. The ebony bone skeletons are more powerful than the average guard of red. Oh, so they have black bones, literally. They move rapidly, extremely rapidly, and known to employ swarming tactics. Yes, with grim determination, I seek out more battles. A rotting behemoth. Ugh. The rotting humanoid behemoth that steps into view. Every time I hear behemoth now, I think about the Fallout behemoth, which is a huge super mutant. Substance of view almost defies description. A broad purplish wedge-shaped head sits atop the wide neck of its towering hulk, its scaly center adorned by a pair of bright yellow eyes. Lengthy black claws extend from its tips of its thick decayed fingers. You are certain that this undead creature is not of this world. Upon catching sight of you, The terrifying beast opens its gaping mouth and bellows furiously, exposing 3 rows of razor-sharp teeth. You exhale heavily and mutter a quick prayer as you boldly step forward to engage the hulking undead beast. The ground shakes as the undead beast topples over, its body striking the ground with a reverberating thud. You turn your eyes from the remains of this gruesome behemoth to the battle that still rages in the forest around you. Yes, with grim determination, I seek to engage another of the enemy. Skeletons at the gate. The cry goes through the encampment, signaling that the undead have entered it. You rush into the camp and are quick to encounter a band of skeletons advancing upon a group of terrified people. Leave between the fleshless undead and their intended prey, boldly defying the advances of the wicked creature. The 7 skeletons hiss fiercely in attack. Or I attack, as it were. You turn to find another group of 4 skeletons entering the camp via breach in the surrounding stockade fence. Without a second thought, you rush over and attack them as they step through. A sharp hiss rings out as an armored skeleton wielding a broad-bladed axe steps through the breach in the stockade fence. The vicious undead warrior wastes no time launching a frenzied attack, and you find yourself initially struggling to fend off his savage blows. 6 black-bone skeletons claw through the breach in the camp's fence and quickly swarm you. The cruel creatures hiss wildly as they slice at you with ancient blades. But I launch a fearsome assault against my foe. More lingers. You wearily look up from the shattered remains of the bone foes to find a final skeleton stepping through the breach in the stockade fence. The spear-wielding undead warrior moves up to you without a sound and attack, though he managed to dodge or deflect the first several of its spear thrusts. It's obvious the creature is a warrior of considerable skill. The skeleton's warrior's shattered skull topples from its neck, and the undead menace crumbles to the ground at your feet. You call over 4 men and instruct them to repair the breach in the fence. As they hurriedly begin seeking a way to carry out your order, you leave the camp, eager to return to the battle that continues to rage in the forest just beyond the fortified edge. Yep. That's the spirit. A pitiful wail rises into the air as a gruesome phantasm floats into view. The howling spirit, its non-corporeal form, that of a headless man in chains, surges through the air towards you. You steel your nerves as you prepare to face this menacing apparition. 2 more spirits, each resembling an armored warrior, glide out of the nearby brush and swiftly attack you. A ghastly spirit. Its form distorted and surreal floats into view and turns to face you, filled with deep sense of dread as your eyes lock upon the horrid apparition. Suddenly the spirit surges forward and you quickly assume a defensive stance as you defiantly hold your ground. A long moan rises into the air as the wicked spirit shimmers brightly before rapidly dissipating. Pause for well deserved rest before once again setting off through the forest to seek out and engage the enemy. Oh, last one. Oh. That literally was the last one, so we'll do it. What follows? In the days that follow what has gone down in history as the Battle of Camp Stonegate, you readily lend your talents to the people of Stonegate as they begin to clean up and restoration of the town. The adoration of the Stonegate citizenry is humbling, and one of the loudest voices to repeatedly sing your praises is the town protector, Garrwin Silverfoot. You learn that several sources that Garrwin and a handful of citizens fought bravely to keep the people within the encampment safe from the bloodthirsty horde of undead that assaulted it. Garrwin is quick to dismiss the account of his own heroics, however, as he offers you his profound thanks. Garrwin is most interesting in your account regarding your investigation of your watchtower that served as a residence of Nilum. He is genuinely saddened by the news of the Major's demise, but seems heartened to learn that it was some sort of demonic possession that drove Nilum's treachery. He gratefully accepted the letter that Nilum presumably wrote immediately prior to his suicide, and he reads it several times without saying a word. Nilum will be remembered as a friend of the people of Stonegate, Garrwin assures you as he finally lowers the letter. He was a good friend and a great man. One afternoon, 3 days after the battle, you're sitting in a mug of steaming paleo at Stonegate's meeting house conversing with Garrwin. There aren't 2 ways about it, he said, putting down his empty mug. Her town has suffered a cruel fate. Were it not for you, Alison, it is doubtful that we could ever hope to repay you for all you have done, yet I would be sorely remiss not to even attempt it. Follow me, if you will. Are they going to give me a place to live? Garrwin leads you to the back room of the meeting house where they find himself presented with a curious sight. Spread out on the floor is a magnificent collection of black plate armor, the quality of which you've rarely seen. It belonged to a great warrior, an old friend, he says, staring down the collection of its pieces. The armor holds strong memories for him. Nothing would serve his memory better than for someone like you, Ellison, to possess that which served him so well in life. He referred to the pieces as knight song, and as you can no doubt plainly see, his armor fit for a king. It chose Ellison. Step forward to look with growing amazement at the flawless pieces spread out on the floor before you. When you finish, Garrwin leads you out to the meeting room. Just outside the meeting house, on the edge of the town thoroughfare, you last bid Garrwin farewell and prepare to set out from Stonegate to seek adventure wherever the road will take you. May the Old Father keep watch over you, he says, meeting you in a shoulder cross for the final time. You'll never be forgotten here, Ellison. Farewell, and take care of the road. We'd love to come about this way and visit us again once we've tidied up the place a bit. Garrwin laughs and you exchange a final wave with the town's protector before heading out of town, leaving behind the memory of the sinister shadows of Stonegate. Some months later, while attending a minor matter in Cellini, you're approached by a courier who hands you a wax-sealed letter. The letters GS are stamped on the melted wax. You're delighted to discover the letters from the protector of the town of Stonegate, a man who you came to know as a friend, Garrwin Sryth. You anticipate perhaps a cheerful invite back to town to help save from the darkness that threatened to consume, but the haunting, barely legible script that comprises the body letter leaves you in an empty, eerie feeling. You carefully read the letter again. According to the date script on the top, it was written 2 weeks ago. Dear Ellison, I trust this correspondence will find you in good health and good spirits. I'll be short, for I cannot say how long I will remain in control of my own thoughts and actions. Oh no. Oh, this sad. I impart this to you, dear friend, for I feel there is no one else I can trust. Shadow hangs heavy on me these days, Ellison, beyond any ordinary melancholy. I often find myself struggling with staying control of my actions, and indeed my very wit. My dreams have become nightmares, and seldom do they cease with my waking. I fear the demon that destroyed the soul of Nilam now infests me with its insidious rot. I will not stand by and abide by the cruel whims of the beast, whilst compromising the safety of those who have entrusted me with their protection. This dark malady may prove my undoing, but let its affliction die with me. So that in I bid a final farewell, dear friend. Unsettling by the letter, you decide to immediately travel to Stonegate with all possible haste. Within 3 hours of receiving the letter, you set on a lengthy journey. You are a lone passenger coach bound for the remote eastern Tissian town. Your arrival could not have been more timely. The coach reaches Stonegate just hours before Garrwin Sryth is laid to rest. And then that Garrwin's death is the moment you arrive in Stonegate. The town is mourning over the passing of the protector, but your arrival serves to buoy their spirits. The town's healer tells you that Garrwin died the previous night in his sleep, and that he had been slipping in and out of consciousness for the past 2 weeks. When he was awake, he would babble for hours, all of it incoherent to the healer. He was gripped by a sense of unfathomable terror that overwhelmed his every waking moment, yet none of us have been able to identify the source of such profound fear. It has everything to do with the dark business. A few months back, I have no doubt. At least he passed in peace. Garrwin Sryth is laid to rest in a plain wooden casket, following a ceremony of prayer and remembrance atop Lookout Ridge. With a heavy heart, you pay your final respects and bid a sad farewell to the man whose desperate plea first brought you to Stonegate months earlier. Following the ceremony, you leave Lookout Bridge and make your way back to town. There, outside the meeting hall, that also served as Garrwin's residence, you step into the waiting coach that bore you here and begin the lengthy and lonely trip back to Cellini. As Stonegate recedes into the distance, you feel as if a great weight has been lifted off your heart. You glance out the window on your right and marvel at the vast, untamed view of the wild lands that surround the remote town. Still, you find that you are unable to rest during the return trip. A vague, unsettling feeling creeps over you as the journey progresses, and it does not lessen until you once again safely in the walls of the capital city. Well, that is a sad ending. You successfully completed all the scenarios in the third proving grounds event Shadow over Stonegate. It is no small feat, and you will now be rewarded with a truly heroic efforts. Hey, 100%. I finished all the proving grounds, you guys. And you're like wondering, what else are we gonna do? I don't think I got my daily experience bonus. Maybe I did. And I did. And they're over. Well, we'll talk about what we're gonna think about doing next time. But hey, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Until then, you know what I'm gonna say. Peace. Peace.